Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic interview for our YouTube channel. This time it's P is for puzzle books, and I've got two very special guests with me today. First, my daughter, Kati Bilsborough, who is an ELT illustrator and designer, and also Anne Robinson, who I'm sure most of you will know, who is a young learner specialist, a teacher educator, teacher, author, and speaker, etc. So today we're going to talk about something very exciting that's just happened. But first, I'm going to ask Anne and Kati to introduce themselves briefly, say who they are and the kind of work they do. Anne, let's start with you.
Right. Okay. Well, actually, I think you've said it pretty much everything there, Kath. Yeah. I mean, these days, I suppose I'm primarily a writer, an author, materials writer, and recently, very recently, which is why we're here today, a very recently new published author. Okay, in a new format, a new approach. I'm a volunteer online teacher every Monday. I teach kids online, anybody who wants to join. And yeah, I do lots of teacher training, lots of webinars. I think the thing I do most regularly right now is give candidate webinars for candidates who are going to take the Cambridge exams, one of the Cambridge exams shortly. So lots of
Okay.
different hats.
Thanks, Anne. And Katy, what about you? What do you do?
Well, I'm an illustrator and a graphic designer, but from a couple of years, well, more than a couple years back, I specialized in ELT illustration. So I've been working when I sort of remember, I've done a lot more than I think that I've done. So, but this project has been like quite a big project, so I'm very happy with that one.
Okay, so let's talk about the project then, because people will be wondering what we're talking about. So, this is a self-publishing project. So, Anne, tell us a little bit. What have you done? What have you published?
What have I published? Right, well, so far, two books, Puzzle Your Way to Starters, and that is followed by Puzzle Your Way to Movers. So there are new babies, and the first of a series that we plan to write, and in case of Kati, illustrate, and self-publish. Yeah. So this is our first adventure, but it's set to continue. And yeah, we have plans for lots more flyers we're working on right now, and there are plans for more as well.
Okay, so you've both been very busy. Why did you decide to self-publish and not approach one of the traditional publishers who you've worked with in the past?
Well, obviously, it does cross your mind, and that's actually how I got into publishing in the first place. I had an idea for what became Fun for Starters, Fun for Movers, and Fun for Flyers, and I did approach a big publisher, and they did publish it. They've been very successful. It was more than 20 years ago now, and then I've worked on other publications as well. I guess two things, or maybe even more, but one of them definitely inspired by people like yourself and John, who had gone down the road before. And so kind of watching you going into self-publishing and other people that I follow as well. Obviously that's, well, it is possible. Yeah. You've seen, we're not the first to do it. Yeah. It's been done. And I think the second thing is that publishing with a big publishing house takes a long time, and you don't have as much control. Yeah. So in this case, I think, I had a very clear, or certainly became very clear as I started writing, what I wanted to do, how I wanted the book to look, and how I wanted it to be used. So I guess, you know, a bit selfishly, if you like, that they wanted to have control over it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good reason. And I think what you say is very true, that these days traditional publishers take a long time, don't they, from the beginning, from the idea to the end. And then there are lots of people say, no, you can't do that, you mustn't have that. So it's quite
Exactly.
nice to
And I'll tell you another
decide.
thing, actually, Kath, as well, in that in the past, I've written my artwork briefs. I've sent them off with the text and with the content. And sometimes I've been a bit kind of disappointed maybe with the illustrations, because they've come back, and when you're working with a publisher, it's actually very difficult to request a change, because it's very expensive, obviously, yeah, for if they've contacted illustrators. Whereas with Kati, it's just been a dream, yeah, because it's I think about 99% she got right from the start, and anything that that maybe I hadn't written a clear brief for, or Kati had interpreted in a different way, it was very, very easy to correct that. So that's been great as
Yeah.
well.
Well, that I'm going to skip the next question I had planned and come back to it, because that leads me to a question that Kati can answer about the illustration process. And I know that when we write as authors, we sometimes make mistakes, get it wrong, and we have to go back and rewrite. Rewriting is part of writing. So, Kati, what about illustrating? Tell us about some of the things that maybe you got wrong. And I know that you don't like talking about what you got wrong, but I know that people watching this love to hear about this kind of thing. So, what were the 1% little things that you misunderstood or whatever? Tell us about a couple.
I can't remember exactly what I did wrong. What I did have like an issue sometimes was when I came to design the page, there was a lot of information, and then the illustration that Anne wanted for that page was very detailed. So it was going to be like you weren't going to see all the details properly, if you see what I mean. So that was like one of the issues. But I think we were like, when there was something like that, I would tell her, look, the title is a bit long, if you could make it shorter, or things like that. And I think we worked really well together in that aspect. So
Yeah,
I can think, sorry,
that's a good.
sorry,
Yeah, that's
Kath,
what I was going to
I was just
say.
thinking of one picture, and it wasn't Kath's fault. It's just that when she mentioned the detail, I think it was Movers, Kati, that I asked for a boy getting ready to go swimming in the changing room, and he had to have, and basically the puzzle works on shh, yeah. So we need no, well, actually, it wasn't. It was OW, yeah. It was O. So it was he was like going to have a shower. He had shorts on. He on his towel there were sharks. There was all sorts of detail that Kati had to get in, and not only that, but to make it visible. Yeah, so she did a brilliant job. But that was probably one of the most challenging one that I asked you to draw.
yeah, that was
and
a challenge one, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, what you're talking about there seems to be a question of page design as well, and what fits on the page, and how, because obviously if it's a puzzle and the answer is in that picture, they need to be able to see it. But if you've already got all this on the page, etc., there's a little bit sort of problem solving, isn't it, as you go along?
Well, one of the good things about working directly with Anne, like you were saying before about when you publish with, not self-publish, when I've worked with publishers and you don't work directly with the author, it does get a little bit complicated, because you do, when you're doing, like, for example, Anne's doing the activity and thinking in her head what she wants, it might be as clear for her, like really clear for her, because she's actually writing the exercise. Because I had all of Anne's exercise, some of the things that weren't too clear, I would go through the exercise and sort of understand. But when I've worked with publishers, You don't get that. You just get the brief of the artwork. So then you get somebody saying, no, but that's not exactly what we asked for. And it's like, and it's, you don't talk directly to the author. It goes like through like 3 people until it gets back to you. But when the Anne was like, right, quick email, does this mean this? And I was like, yeah, no, or whatever, you know. So that was making things much easier as well. And I have to say that Anne's given me like a lot of freedom. I've felt it's been like that, because things that were maybe a little bit different, but I thought it would look a little bit better with whatever. And she was happy with that, because I think I haven't even had to change any illustrations, maybe like little tricks, because there was like a headache and not an earache, things like that. But I think I didn't have to make any changes, so that was quite nice.
Yeah, I mean it's probably been a really positive experience for both of you in that respect. Plus, you've been able to talk physically, well, on WhatsApp, etc., and emails, etc. But you've actually got together physically because you both live in the north of Spain. So that must have been very useful, actually getting together and looking together at things and being able to talk things through. And was that a new experience for you with working with collaborators, actually sitting down
I think it was
with...
way back with Fund For, right at the start, actually, way back, my first editor did actually come to Santander, where I live. I think I don't know whether it coincided. No, she did come deliberately with the, I can remember now. She came with a briefcase full of illustrations by different illustrators. And we sat down and sort of said, yes, we like these, we like these, we like these, no, that one, no. And we chose illustrators, for the small pictures, for the scene pictures. I think we chose about 5 or 6 illustrators. So that, but since then, never. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
Kathy
because we're
said.
usually working with people on the other side of the world. And I mean,
Exactly.
I know that, Kati, you recently or last year, you were writing, you were doing illustrations for the ministry in Nigeria. I mean, you're not going to be getting together with somebody who's in
No.
Africa. So,
Yeah.
okay, talking about the actual process of writing, Anne, first, how did you actually? Well, let's have a look at the book and see what it looks like, so they'll know what I'm talking about then. So it's a book of puzzles, isn't it? Let's have a look. Can you show us
Okay, yeah.
some?
Yeah,
Okay.
so basically, I mean, I'm a puzzle fan myself. I do puzzles every day if I've got time. I deliberately do it, and that's where kind of my inspiration came from. Also, I'm a mom, so I bought these kinds of books when my daughters were growing up. I think they're more typical of the UK than they are from, compared to where I live now in Spain. I don't think you do get, kind of word searches and sudokus and things, but you don't really get very much language as such. So we've got our little monster here, okay, who appears from time to time throughout the book. This might look, yes, actually, that is a word search, yeah. But on the opposite page here, we've got one that I created, which is you start from the middle, and then you have to follow the arrows and basically write the words by putting the letters together. So we've got, I don't know how many different types of puzzles have we got, but a lot. The name comes from the Cambridge Young Learners Exam Starters, because I felt that it was very well known around the world, so people would be able to see or understand what level it was aimed at. But also, I've made sure that I've included absolutely every single word on the starters word list, and that's both for the paper word list and for the brand new digital exams. So I've tried to do lots of things, yeah, but especially entertain, but getting students to notice patterns, to make connections, to a bit of critical thinking as well, trying to build all of those things into it.
Yeah, I noticed things like that when I went through it as well. There's lots of things that you think, oh, that's a really good idea, to get them think about spelling and to get them think about, sound spelling, matches, etc. So the actual process that you went through as a writer when you sat down and wrote the manuscript for this book, what did you do? Did you have like pieces of paper all over the place,
yes.
or did you?
Do you want to see my desk now?
No, tell us about it, the actual process.
Yeah, well, I am a bit of a hoarder in general. Okay, so whenever I see something that I think, oh, that will be good for, could be this, it could be something else, then I kind of make a note of it, or I save it. I've got a bookmark on my computer which is called for later. So sometimes I'm working on something else, I haven't got time to do it, but I kind of keep it and then I come back to it. In this case, I think actually the initial puzzles I actually wrote for my online Monday class, and I've tried a lot of them out with the kids in the class. And I've seen that they've really enjoyed doing them. I've also they've come up with different answers that you haven't necessarily put in the key because you haven't thought of them when you've been writing. So yeah, it's been a kind of pulling together of things that I've been collecting, as it were. And then I find generally that when I'm working on something, then it kind of leads to something else. So one puzzle led to another, and then you have a variation, and yeah.
And then you produced a manuscript with all the text, and you wrote artwork briefs, and you sent that to Kati.
Yes, well, the brilliant thing was when I said to Kati, I need an illustrator. And then she just happened to mention that she could also do all the page layout. So she was like, I got 2 for 1 with Kati. So that was brilliant. Yeah. So
yeah, that's great. So Kati, what about you? From the point of view of the actual process you went through with the work, what did you do? So you received an email from Anne with a manuscript, and tell us what you did from there.
Well, first of all, when I receive something like that, I think, oh my God, where am I going to start? Because it's like a lot, So usually I sort of, with Anne's projects, what I've been doing is doing the layout first, because I think it's like more important, the actual puzzle, than the actual illustrations. Obviously, some illustrations are important, but other ones are just like to make it nicer, So I began doing the layout, making sure that everything fitted. Also finding fonts that were dyslexia friendly. The colors we had to come out with, because some colors are not good for people who got dyslexia. So we were sorting all that out first, really. And then when I came with the layout, I showed Anne to see what she thought. I think I did like 2 different ones, or I don't remember. And she said the one she liked best. And then basically what I do is I get all the information of the actual illustrations, go onto my iPad and do that. And then I go back to the computer and just fit them all around. And then that's basically, and then making sure that the pages, because I don't know if people know, but for a book, it's got to be like every 4 pages. I don't know how to explain that. So if it was like 1 and then 3 missing, we had to sort of cover those 3 so there weren't any blank pages. So that's the process, really.
Yeah, so you were working on a computer and an iPad, and then just moving thing. And were you using any particular software, any programs that some people might be interested?
On the iPad, I use Procreate, which I've been using for 2 years now, which I think is one of the best programs. And then on the computer, I've been using Illustrator. I know some people would use InDesign, but I find Illustrator is what I've been using for a long time, and it works for me. And
It works. Yeah, great. No, it's really interesting, and I got no idea how to do any of that. So it's I find it amazing that you can do it. Okay, I've got another question here. I'm looking at my notes. Well, Anne, first of all, one for you about the actual book. So we've got starters, we've got movers, they're already done. Flyers is being done as we speak, and then you've got plans for more.
Yep.
But who are these books for? Who do you want to, or do you expect to buy the books? Parents, teachers, students?
Parents and teachers, I would say, well, certainly these ones, because they're obviously for young learners. Yeah, basically, both Kati and I are very into hands-on, Kati obviously being an artist. I'm really, really in favour of encouraging, you know, picking up pens, picking up crayons, drawing, colouring. And I really want it, what my wish is for this to be a real hands-on experience for kids. We've got things like at the start, it's got "This book belongs to." So we want people to, you know, it's their book, and every book at the end will look different, yeah, because they'll have drawn different things, they'll have coloured different things, they'll have chosen different answers. Some puzzles obviously do have, you know, specific answers, but others don't. We've also got halfway through to encourage them. We're saying, you know, well done, you've just done, I don't know how many, you know, you found this many words, you've answered this many questions. And at the end, we actually got a cutout certificate, which was one of Kati's brilliant ideas that she came up with. So at the end of starters, for example, they will complete it with their name and put the date. Yeah, so.
Oh, that's lovely. So what you've mentioned there, I love all those aspects, because I can imagine, and thinking of my own kids when they were younger, when they had, you know, that it's a book that's very personalized. So you brought in lots of personalization.
Yep.
In the activities too, I noticed that. And then, as you say, they color things, they draw things, they can decorate things, it's a book that they'll use and they'll make their own. And that diploma, I just can imagine, it'd be so nice, wouldn't it, if you got photos from parents of those diplomas framed on the walls, because that's the kind of thing that, as authors and illustrators, that kind of testimonial, if you like, later is just so, it makes what we do worthwhile, doesn't it? So
yeah. I mean, I think the greatest joy is when a teacher sends you. I just had one a couple of days ago, of a class, you know, all working with your book, and you know, enjoying it as well, you know.
yeah.
Not just the actual thing, but actually seeing them do it and seeing them doing the activity, and in a classroom. That's the
Yeah.
best feedback you can get. Yeah.
So just to finish, one of the things that we often talk about, John and I, with colleagues, other writers, etc., is we when we self-publish, one of the drawbacks, if you like, is that we have to do all our own marketing, we have to do our own publicity. It's up to us to get out there and make sure the book becomes popular and people buy it. Because if you work for a publisher, they have a whole marketing team and sales reps who do that for you. So I've noticed that you've suddenly become very active on social media, which is brilliant, and we need to spread the word. And you've got some plans, haven't you, for how to kind of give something to teachers who might be interested in this product, extra little things in the pipeline. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's something I've always discussed with publishers as well. I've always said, you know, if somebody buys my book or your book or whatever, then great, but we should keep up the contact. Yeah, we should. It shouldn't stop there. So that's part of the reason. So our plan is that maybe every fortnight or so we'll be sharing for a limited time new puzzles. Yeah, so puzzles that aren't in the book. They may well be thematically related. So, we're planning for Halloween, for example, to create a puzzle or a couple of puzzles. And we'll make them available for a short time for teachers to use. Yeah, so
that's brilliant. So to make sure that people know about these things, they need to follow you, don't they? They need to follow you. We'll add the links below the video shortly, but you need to follow you on LinkedIn, on Facebook, anywhere else. Kati, are you anywhere else?
On Instagram. I mean, at the moment we've actually made a Puzzle Your Way account, but it's sort of, we're working on it. But so we'll ask people to follow us there. But if they follow each of us, we're actually posting on our personal accounts anyway, all the information. So
okay, brilliant. Okay, I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to finish off with, but I think you've given us a really good overview of the process that you went through to create the book. Your passion for this book comes through, both of you. I know that I've seen Kati daily getting excited about lots of times, for example, getting excited when something that's being complicated, she finds a solution and it works, this kind of thing. And then when you actually held the book in your hands, where's your, have you got a copy of a book there
yeah.
to hold up? And why don't you hold up yours as well, Anne, and we'll finish on that very positive note. So thank you very, very much for agreeing to the interview. I'm sure that our followers and subscribers will be really interested in hearing about the process, and they might have some questions. Sometimes they do, so we'll get back to you and ask about those. And here's looking ahead and wishing you all the best to puzzle your way to the moon and back.
Thanks, Kath.
Thank you.